Your nightly news with Rachel Williams begins now.
Good evening, everyone. The federal opposition has backed Tasmania's tourism industry with a $120 million election pledge that's being labelled a game changer. But with $50 million of the package going to Mona if Labor takes office next month, the deal is seemingly as controversial as the museum's art.
In a fleeting visit to Tasmania, Bill Shorten wasted no time in making his way to Mona, spruiking a major cash injection for the popular museum.
The Labor government, if elected on May the 18th, will invest an additional $50 million in Mona as part of a $120 million tourism package.
The opposition leader then joined David Walsh for a tour through the luminous corridors, expressing his appreciation for the controversial attraction.
There's been no national support for a facility which is employing hundreds of people and bringing, tens and tens of thousands of tourists, not just to Tasmania, but to Australia.
The funding commitment certainly welcomed by Tasmania's peak tourism body.
We think it's absolutely overdue. The development of Mona, if they complete it, will have, a Mona effect again. We saw what happened when Mona opened the first time. I think when this development comes to life in its full vision, it'll have a similar impact for Hobart and for Tasmania.
But the Liberal government says the move isn't the smartest.
Investing in tourism is a good thing, but handing over $50 million of cash to the proponent of a high-end luxury five-star hotel development, a private entity, is out of touch with what Tasmanians want.
Senator Duniam saying the money should be spent elsewhere.
The money should be allocated towards the communities that need it most, communities in regional Tasmania. Their priorities are wrong, Labor have got it wrong, and they should change their priorities.
Labor also promising $7 million for the Royal Flying Doctors Service if elected next month.
So this $7 million will go to upgrading the hangar facilities. It'll go towards providing better mental health, better dental health, better support in a whole range of local government areas.
Ruby Kamane, 7 Tasmania News.
And Tasmanians have also gathered to honour those who lost their lives in the devastating attacks. The show of solidarity, a chance to send messages of love and support to Sri Lanka's grieving capital.
A moment of silence during a time of grief. The public today honouring those affected by the devastating bombing attack in Colombo on Easter Sunday.
I think it's an attack not just on Sri Lanka or on the Christian communities, it's an attack on the entire community, and we all need to come together to show our support and solidarity with the Sri Lankan and the Christian community here in Tasmania.
Members of the Sri Lankan community in Hobart remain heartbroken.
It's a kind of a shock, and when the stories started to unfold, and we just couldn't bear it at the initial stages, so it's just unbearable. I don't have words to express that, my feelings.
Following the gesture offered to victims of the Christchurch attack in March, the Hobart City Council has offered another condolence book, giving the community an opportunity to write down their thoughts and personal messages of peace and love.
And I think the symbolism of being able to express your concerns here in Hobart and know that those views will be presented to a community that's going through a lot of trouble, I think that's very important for people.
I think it just shows people that the giant mass of humanity isn't interested in these kind of events. We want to see them stopped. It's difficult to put into words.
The book will remain in Hobart's Town Hall for the next 2 weeks for anyone wishing to share a message of support. Ruby Kamane, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmanians are being warned of some nasty weather on its way. The Weather Bureau has issued a gale warning for coastal waters from Stanley to St Helens tomorrow, while strong winds are expected along the east coast. We'll have more weather for you shortly. Well, ocean lovers from around the state have braved the brutally cold conditions in Hobart this morning to send out a clear message: fight for the bite. And they say if it's ignored, it could have catastrophic impacts on Tasmania's treasured coastline.
You'd struggle to pick a worse morning for a paddle at Sandy Bay's Long Beach, but the cold autumn wind certainly wasn't enough to silence this bunch.
real. I mean, you look around you, there's just people, everyone here is here because we love the ocean, we want to protect it. We think it's absolutely foolish that a project like this has got this far.
Protesting Norwegian company Equinor's plans to drill an exploration oil well in the Great Australian Bight, around 400 kilometres off the South Australian coast. The fight for the Bight paddle out followed on from others staged around the country, with today about highlighting the dangers faced by Tasmania's coastline if there were to be a large oil spill.
We would see impacts based on their own modelling that would come right down the coast of Tasmania and totally envelop places like King Island. They would have absolutely disastrous impacts for wildlife, for our livelihoods, for our industries, for everything.
And with a federal election just weeks away, today was also a chance to send a clear message to the major political parties.
31,000 people put in submissions to NOPSEMA about this project. There was 31,000 people. So politicians should be listening or they won't be there much longer.
Equinor is currently seeking approval from the National Offshore Petroleum Safety and Environmental Management Authority, with plans to start drilling as early as next year. Tom Cooper, 7 Tasmania News.
Blues fans had the rare chance to get up close to their heroes in Tassie as they prepare to clash with the Hawks at Utah's Stadium tomorrow. The sides round out the Anzac Day weekend, playing for a trophy honouring our longest-living Gallipoli soldier.
When these two titans go into battle tomorrow, the Alec Campbell Memorial will be on the line. It honours the Tasmanian soldier who was the longest living survivor of the Gallipoli campaign. Carlton's Tassie-born coach Brenton Bolton can relate to the impact of war.
My father was a Vietnam veteran, so it's pretty close to my heart, and my grandfather, who I didn't get to meet, was on the Perth that went down, and had some time in Changi prison, so I understand it. Military's been part of my life.
It's still unclear if spearhead Charlie Curnow will join Bolton's Blue Troops. He'll wait until the death knock to make a final decision. One thing for sure is Carlton goes in as a confident unit after a relieving win over the Dogs.
The attitude and the morale's been fantastic. It's just a better polish and leading patterns that we required, and got a few more right than wrong last week, so we got a result.
It'll be just the second time Carlton's played in Launceston for premiership points. 3 years ago, more than 18,000 turned out to see the Hawks win their 19th straight at the venue. The Hawks are well aware they're coming up against a Blues side on a post-victory cloud nine.
We know we need to play really well to compete, because their best is very good. We saw it last week.
Hawks fans had their first sight of the brown and gold here since the JLT series. Skipper Ben Stratton is returning to the playing ranks, along with Tim O'Brien and Liam Shields.
Not just a structural point of view, but from a leadership point of view, he really sets us up in the back half of the ground. It'll be really important for us, and good for Timmy O'Brien to come into the side and get an opportunity as well.
Tomorrow's bounce is at 3:20. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
To the TSL and Lauderdale have strengthened their case for early season flag favouritism, delivering North Launceston their first loss of the season in a thrilling grand final rematch, while Launceston rallied late in the match against Clarence in a seesawing affair at Blunston Arena.
The Northern Bombers have got the better of their southern counterparts the past 2 grand finals in a row, and they started accordingly at Lauderdale Oval, booting the first 2 majors of the match. The home side managing just the one in the first quarter, with the visitors helping themselves to a 19-point lead at the first break. Skipper Brad Cox-Goodyear bombed one home from behind the arc. As the rain began to fall, a scrappy contest ensued. Lauderdale rallying for skipper Bryce Walsh's 150th game, narrowing the gap on the scoreboard to make it a 1-point ball game. With the reigning premiers dazed, the Southern Bombers took advantage as Hayden Smith continued to dominate down forward. An impressive 8-goal second quarter, seeing the home side take a 3-goal buffer heading into the second half. North Launceston wouldn't go down without a fight, however, with Jordan Tepper producing something special from right on the boundary line. But with the home crowd behind them, this time it was Lauderdale who claimed bragging rights, dishing the visitors their first loss of the season with a 16-point win. Clarence and Launceston had just the one first quarter goal each in them in a hard-fought affair at Blunston Arena. Things picking up in the second, but the sides could barely be separated on the scoreboard, with the Blues leading by just 7 points at the long break. Always dangerous in the forward 50, Rouge stalwart Jake Cox helped to square things up and set things up for a massive final quarter. Young gun Oliver Preshaw continuing to impress, gifting the home side a 2-point lead as the full-time clock ticked down. But the Blues still had some left in the tank, snatching it right back and holding on by 10 points to keep the Roos winless.
So netball and Cavaliers have shot themselves to equal top spot on the State League ladder, with the side pulling off a thrilling win in today's clash with Arrows at the Kingborough Sports Centre. In the closest match seen so far this season, things were neck and neck until the dying seconds of play. Cavaliers eventually coming out on top by a single point with a 48-47 win. In the afternoon's other match, Karana were far too good for Devon, keeping the girls from the northwest winless on the bottom of the ladder with a 65-42 point win. A short time ago, the Hobart Huskies pulled off a big comeback to win their clash with the Southern Sabres in the NBL 1 League. Despite being down by 11 points at half-time, the Huskies fought back to hit the lead by the end of the third period. The visiting side pulled away in the final minutes to seal victory 85-74. And around 300 of the country's most promising and exciting young athletes have tested themselves in trying conditions for the opening day of the Australian Little Athletics Carnival at Hobart's Domain. The weather wasn't ideal, but the stakes were still high as athletes vied for a range of national titles and spots in national squads. Competition wraps up with finals day tomorrow. Some very brave young souls there, Rach. It was not a nice day for athletics down here.
No, but good luck to the Tassie contingent.
Absolutely.
Good evening. Temperatures 2 to 6 degrees below average statewide today. Hobart Airport recording the state's high of 17. 15 degrees was the high for the city of Hobart, Launceston, Burnie and Devonport. Maria Island was 16 degrees today. 15 degrees was the popular temperature of the day on King and Flinders Islands. Low Head, St Helens, Friendly Beaches and Grove. Smithton reached 14, Ouse and Strawn 13, Lyowini below double figures with just 7 degrees. Low-level cloud is shown streaming across the state today. Mountain waves running north to south were seen over most of Tasmania. A high-level cloud band sits over northern Australia and the rest of the country is mostly cloud-free. Tomorrow, a large high is over South Australia, extending a broad ridge over much of the country. A cold front lies over Tasmania and a weak trough lies over northwestern Queensland. Westerly winds 25 to 35 knots, tending southwesterly during the morning, then easing slightly during the afternoon and evening, seas 2 to 3 metres. Warnings for Sunday: a gale warning for northeastern, eastern, southern and western coastal waters, a strong wind warning for upper eastern waters and a small craft wind alert for the southwest and central plateau lakes. And there is a minor flood warning for upper reaches of the Huon River catchment. Looking to tomorrow's forecast in Hobart, a shower or two and 16. Similar conditions for Richmond and 15 with showers easing for Ouse. Launceston, a partly cloudy day, 19, 18 and partly cloudy in Devonport. Partly cloudy in Deloraine, also 15 degrees there. Burnie, 16, partly cloudy. Showers easing at Strawn, 15. Curry, a shower or two, 16. 19 in St Helens, partly cloudy. 17 at Swansea and windy with a possible shower for Whitemark. Looking to Monday, showers about the west and far south, fine elsewhere. Tuesday, showers around the north, clearing in the afternoon, fine otherwise, apart from in the west with showers developing there later in the day. And showers in the west extending statewide later in the day on Wednesday. And it looks like a mostly sunny day for much of the mainland tomorrow. Currently it's cloudy and 14 in Hobart, cloudy and 13 in Launceston, Devonport, cloudy and 13 also. Rachel, a bit of wind about the state tomorrow.
It sounds like that. Thank you very much for that, Carmen. Before we leave you tonight, SeaWorld's Polar Bear Club Mishka has celebrated her second birthday, enjoying a very fishy feast. She celebrated with Mimlia in true polar bear style, taking a dip and feasting on a birthday cake frozen to perfection. Mishka is still a little way off reaching her mother's height, but is growing fast. Very cute. Well, that's all your news for now. Thanks for joining us. Good night.
All right. Before I begin, and what was the cost of that?